My fiancée wanted to open the relationship because she felt trapped, so I agreed. Then started dating the one person she hated most, her sister. Now she's desperate to close it, and I'm not interested. That I never thought I'd be the kind of guy writing something like this. But here we are. My fiancée, Lena, and I have been together for 4 years. We had a solid relationship, or so I believed. We had our disagreements, sure, but nothing that ever felt like a real crack in the foundation. We were a team. We were planning a wedding. We were talking about houses, kids, futures. Then out of nowhere, she hit me with, "I think we should open the relationship. I feel trapped." She said it casually, like she was suggesting ordering takeout instead of cooking. No warning. No previous conversations. Just a grenade tossed into the middle of our life. At first, I laughed because I genuinely thought it was one of her dark jokes. But she doubled down. She started babbling something about personal freedom, not wanting to regret missing out, and not wanting to resent me later. I asked the obvious question, "Is there someone specific?" She said no, too quickly. Then she shifted the blame onto me, how I don't understand her needs, how she's afraid our relationship is becoming routine, how she feels caged at her age. Meanwhile, she's the one who wanted a big engagement, a long-planned wedding, vacations together, shared finances. But suddenly I was the cage. Something inside me snapped. Not anger, not sadness, just clarity. Crystal clear, ice-cold clarity. So I looked right at her and said, "Great idea." Her face froze mid-sentence, like she didn't expect me to agree. She kept blinking, confused, like she'd rehearsed 30 different arguments and I'd used the one line she hadn't prepared for. She tried to backtrack a little, asking what I thought the rules should be. I said I'd think about it. I did, for exactly one night. Because the next day, I started dating someone she absolutely despises, her older sister, Marina. Before you judge me, let me be clear. I didn't pursue Marina out of revenge or spite. I pursued her because, unlike Lena, she had always treated me with genuine respect. She never played games, never tried to manipulate, never made me doubt myself. She's confident, successful, emotionally stable, everything Lena wanted to seem, but never really was. Lena always hated her sister because Marina made her feel inferior. She'd complain nonstop about Marina's career success, her social life, her independence, her perfect looks, her perfect everything. And now here I was, taking Marina out for coffee. I didn't expect anything to happen. But Marina listened, really listened, when I told her what Lena had said. She wasn't surprised. She just sighed and said, "She always finds a way to sabotage the good things in her life." We stayed out for 4 hours. When I got home, Lena immediately asked where I'd been. I told her. I said it calmly, without hesitation. I had a date. She froze. With who? I told her. And the look on her face? I will never forget it. She went pale first, then red. Then something between fury and panic twisted her expression. "You can't date her, anyone but her." To which I replied, "Why? You said open relationship. I'm following the rules." That was the moment she realized she'd opened a door she couldn't close. Lena didn't just react. She imploded. I'd barely finished saying Marina's name before she started pacing the living room like she was trying to walk off a panic attack. First came denial. "You're lying. You're trying to hurt me. You didn't actually go out with her." I didn't raise my voice. I didn't get emotional. I just said, "I did, and it went well." Then came confusion. "But why her? Why would you choose her? You could have picked anyone. Someone who doesn't make things complicated." I leaned back on the sofa and replied, "Because I like her. Because she's smart. Because she respects me. And because you said we should be open." She stopped pacing. Her mouth opened, but no sound came out. Like she couldn't compute the consequences of her own idea. Then came the bargaining. Already, within 2 minutes. Okay, 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 maybe I said it wrong. Maybe I didn't mean fully open. I meant, like, emotionally open? Exploring fantasies? Not actually dating other people. I raised an eyebrow. You used the phrase, open the relationship. Not me. She actually stomped her foot. Like a child. But not with her. I should explain something important here. Why Marina? To understand why this struck her so deeply, you need to know the family dynamic. Marina is everything Lena pretends to be. Older by 5 years. Stable, grounded. High-earning marketing director. Owns her condo. Calm under pressure. Doesn't play games. genuinely kind, not threatened by anyone. Lena, meanwhile, has always carved out her identity by playing the chaotic, misunderstood younger sister. She'd always tell me stories about how Marina overshadowed her. But in reality, Marina didn't overshadow anyone. She just lived her life normally, responsibly, without turning everything into drama. Lena hated her for that. She hated that her parents compared them. She hated that her friends liked Marina. She hated that I always got along with her. Too well, apparently. So when I told her I'd gone out with Marina, it wasn't just jealousy. It was her personal nightmare. Back to the living room. Lena started spiraling. You're doing this to punish me. You're trying to hurt me because I was honest. I was vulnerable with you, and you're twisting it. You know what I meant when I said open relationship. I answered every sentence with the same calm consistency. You asked to open the relationship. I agreed. I'm acting within what you asked for. She grabbed her head with both hands like I'd just explained quantum mechanics. Then came the guilt tripping. How could you do this to me? To our future? To our engagement? To everything we built? I didn't hold back. You wanted the right to seek other people. I just took you at your word. She started crying. The loud, dramatic kind where you can hear every inhale from outside the room. But tears have a different meaning when someone spent the last 48 hours lecturing you about personal freedom and not feeling tied down. Then she made the mistake. She pointed at the engagement ring and said, "Take it back then. If you want my sister, take everything. Just do it. End it now." I didn't even blink. If that's what you want. I reached for the ring box on the coffee table. I wasn't bluffing. Her face twisted instantly from rage to pure panic. And oh, wait, I didn't mean that. But the thing is, people don't say things they never think. Her panic was immediate, instant, instinctive. It was the first honest emotion she'd shown all day. The family intervenes. I left to clear my head, but not before texting Marina that Lena knew. Marina replied, "I figured she'd react like that. Come by tomorrow for lunch if you want. No weirdness. No panic. No drama." Meanwhile, my phone buzzed nonstop. Lena's mom. "Can you come over?" Lena is hysterical. Her dad. "What exactly happened?" She's telling us a confusing version. Lena. 17 messages alternating between rage and begging. "You're humiliating me." Why her? I can't compete with her. Please don't do this. I didn't mean it like that. Come home. But I didn't answer anyone. Not yet. Later that night, when I returned home around 10 p.m., I found Lena sitting on the floor by the front door like she'd been waiting for hours. Eyes swollen, hoodie sleeves soaked. She looked small. Not physically, emotionally. "Are you going to see her again?" I didn't hesitate. Yes. She didn't scream. She didn't argue. She just whispered, "Please don't replace me with her." Part of me snapped again, but in a different direction. Not anger, just exhaustion. Years of emotional labor hit me all at once. I didn't answer that question. I just walked past her. As I went to bed alone, I heard her crying quietly in the hallway. For the first time in years, I didn't feel responsible for fixing it. Update. The next morning felt strangely quiet. Lena wasn't in the hallway anymore, but I could hear her moving around the kitchen, soft, careful movements, the kind people make when they're afraid of being seen. It reminded me of how she used to act when she was caught lying to her parents as a kid, tiptoeing through consequences instead of facing them. She didn't say anything when I walked in. She just sat there with a mug of tea, untouched, both hands wrapped around it like she was holding on to something for balance. Her eyes were swollen, and she couldn't quite meet mine. I poured myself coffee, and the silence stretched long enough that it became its own kind of conversation. Eventually, she tried. "Are you really going to see her again?" she asked, barely above a whisper. I didn't answer immediately, because part of me still felt like I needed to protect her feelings. Old habits die hard. But the truth didn't need ornamentation. "Yes." She swallowed, looked down, nodded once, and then just stared at the table as if she expected it to speak for her. There was no fight left in her, not the kind she had yesterday. It was a different kind of fear now, something more like regret. I didn't stay long. I left after finishing my coffee, without any dramatic words or final statements, and Lena didn't ask me to stay. She just watched the door close behind me like she wasn't sure whether I was coming back. I drove to meet Marina for lunch. If you're wondering whether I expected it to be weird, it wasn't. Not at all. She greeted me with a calm smile that didn't try to pry emotions out of me. She didn't ask for explanations or demand I justify myself. She just said, "Rough night," and placed a hand on my arm, not as a flirt, but as someone grounding me. It was the easiest conversation I'd had in months. We talked about work, about her latest project, about a ridiculous situation with her neighbor's unleashed dog. She made me laugh twice without even trying. And when the topic of Lena finally surfaced, she didn't jump on it like gossip. Instead, she sighed and said, "She always thinks freedom means escape." She never understood that some responsibilities actually make life bigger. I didn't answer. I didn't need to. She wasn't accusing me of anything, and she wasn't defending her sister either. She was simply observing reality. When I returned home that evening, the atmosphere had changed. Lena was pacing around the living room like she'd been preparing a speech all day. The moment she saw me, it all spilled out at once. "We can close the relationship," she said quickly, words tripping over each other. "I don't want this. I've been thinking about it nonstop. We can pretend none of this happened, okay? Just, please, no more open relationship." I was stupid. I didn't mean it like that. "I don't want to lose you." She stepped closer, reaching for my arm like she expected me to soften immediately. But something had shifted in me. It wasn't anger, and it wasn't triumph. It was just a full, grounded understanding of what I wanted and what I didn't. "Lena," I said gently, "you don't get to close something you opened because you're losing control of it." Her expression cracked. "I didn't know you'd take it seriously." "You didn't know I'd take myself seriously," I corrected. She tried again. "We're engaged. We have a future. You can't just—" But she stopped herself, as if realizing she was about to step back into the same entitlement that caused this entire mess. Then came the tears again, but softer this time. Not theatrical, not manipulative, more like panic realizing it came too late. She kept talking, pleading really, that she felt insecure, that she made a mistake, that she didn't want anyone else, that she couldn't handle the idea of me with someone who made her feel inadequate. She admitted she didn't even want an open relationship. She just wanted to feel more powerful, less afraid of commitment, more in control. But intentions don't erase reality. While she talked, my phone buzzed. Once, twice, 3 times. I didn't check it, but her eyes flicked toward my pocket with a kind of dread you can't fake. "You're seeing her again, aren't you?" she said quietly. Not a question, just recognition. I didn't confirm or deny it. The next day, her parents showed up at our place. Not accusing, not angry, just confused and tired. Her mother asked if we could all sit down, and her father looked at both of us like he was trying to read who was more heartbroken. Lena tried to control the narrative at first, but she kept stumbling over her own story. She downplayed the open relationship. Then she exaggerated it. Then she insisted she didn't mean it. Her parents looked at her like they were seeing her clearly for the first time. After a long silence, her father turned to me and asked, "What do you want?" It was the first time anyone in this entire mess asked me that. And I didn't answer right away, because I wanted to be sure the words matched the clarity in my chest. "I want honesty," I finally said, "and stability, and someone who chooses the relationship every day, not someone who tests it for weaknesses." Lena covered her face with her hands. Her mother exhaled like she'd been holding her breath for years. We didn't decide anything that afternoon, but something irreversible broke between us. Something that wasn't going to be repaired with apologies or tears or promises of closing doors. Not because I hated her, but because, for the first time, I felt what it was like not to be the one begging for reassurance, not to be the one bending, not to be the one patching holes she kept poking just to see what would happen. For the first time, I wasn't afraid to lose her. And she felt that loss long before I even made a decision. Final update that I didn't expect the end to be quiet. After everything, the yelling, the panic, the accusations, the crying, you'd think the final break would be explosive. But it wasn't. It was still. The kind of stillness that happens when everyone finally runs out of stories to tell themselves. A week after the conversation with her parents, Lena and I sat down in our living room for what would be the last time we spoke as a couple. She'd asked for one more talk. Not to convince me, she said, but to understand where things really stand. She looked exhausted. Not in the dramatic way she used to stage her sadness. This was different. Her shoulders were lowered, her face quiet, the energy drained from her eyes. She looked like someone who had been shaken awake from a dream she didn't even know she was having. "I know I broke something," she said softly. "I don't expect you to pretend like I didn't. I just want to know if there's anything left to fix." I took a long time before answering, because she deserved a real response, not a quick one. There's something left, I finally said. But it isn't what we had before. It's just pieces. She closed her eyes for a moment as if she already knew the answer, but needed to hear it out loud to believe it. I didn't want anyone else, she whispered. I just wanted to feel wanted. I wanted to know I wasn't making a mistake getting married so young. I wanted control. Her voice broke a little, and then I lost everything I was trying to hold on to. I didn't say anything. She kept going, like the silence gave her permission to be honest. When you agreed to open the relationship, I thought it meant you didn't care. I thought you were done. And when you went out with her, she swallowed hard. I realized you weren't the one who felt trapped. I was. The thing is, I believed her. But belief doesn't mean repair. It just means understanding the cause of the fire long after the house is gone. I told her the truth, calmly, not unkindly. I don't trust the relationship anymore. I don't trust that you won't do something like this again when you feel restless or scared. And I don't want to live waiting for the next test. She didn't argue. Not once. She only nodded, tears starting to form again, but quietly this time. Grief, not manipulation. Are you in love with her? She asked suddenly. It wasn't an accusation. It wasn't jealousy. Just a small, raw question from someone who already knew she'd lost. I'm not rushing anything, I told her. But I feel steady with her. Clear. Like I don't have to shrink or guess or defend myself. Lena's face tightened. A grief she had no words for. We ended the engagement that evening. No fight. No slammed doors. Just the sound of someone finally surrendering to reality. She packed a few things and left to stay with her parents. Before closing the door, she said, I hope you take care of each other. I hope you don't lose her the way I lost you. There were no hugs. No dramatic goodbye. Just a mutual understanding that we'd crossed a point that doesn't have a return. The next few weeks were strange in the way silence is strange when you're used to noise. The apartment felt too big, too neat, too empty. I didn't rush into anything with Marina, not because I was unsure, but because she wouldn't let me. She told me, you need to end one life before starting another. I won't be part of a transition. If we ever happen, it has to be a choice, not an escape. That's the kind of thing she says. Honest, grounded, not afraid to draw boundaries. Lena hated that about her. I admire it. We kept seeing each other, not romantically at first, but steadily. She'd check in without smothering. She gave me space without disappearing. She didn't pressure or imply or hurry. She treated me like an adult making an adult decision. Her parents were surprisingly supportive, more than I expected. I think they'd been watching Lena unravel for a long time and didn't have the courage to confront it. They didn't blame me for any of it. If anything, they apologized. We should have helped her grow up sooner, her mother said. But that wasn't my responsibility. And I finally understood that. Maybe the most important part of this whole story isn't that Lena asked to open the relationship, or that I started seeing her sister, or that the engagement ended. It's what came after. Because for the first time in years, I stopped bending. I stopped filtering myself through someone else's anxieties. I stopped trying to pass tests I didn't know I was taking. I stopped apologizing for stability, for clear communication, for wanting a relationship that didn't feel like walking through a minefield blindfolded. I stopped shrinking. Lena and I didn't reconcile. We didn't try to stay friends. We didn't revisit old conversations. It wasn't anger, it was acceptance. She needed to grow in ways I couldn't guide her through. And I needed to build a life that wasn't shaped around calming someone else's storms. Last week, Marina and I went out again, not a check-in lunch, but a real date. I didn't hide it. I didn't feel guilty. I didn't feel like I was betraying anyone. It felt calm, normal, adult. And for the first time in a long time, something inside me settled. Not excitement, not adrenaline, just peace. I don't know where things will go with Marina. Maybe somewhere steady. Maybe just a few more quiet dinners. Maybe nowhere. But whatever happens, it won't come from panic or fear or desperation. I'm learning that relationships shouldn't feel like survival. Sometimes the healthiest ending is the quiet one. The one where no one wins. No one loses. And both people finally tell the truth. I didn't expect this to be the outcome of a single sentence. We should open the relationship. But sometimes one sentence shows you everything you were ignoring. And once you see it, you can't go back to pretending you're blind.